Today's video is all about real estate crypto crowdfunding. Invest in real estate with your crypto and earn yields. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into this project, looking into some of the fundamentals such as the team, the tokenomics, the utility, and the overall value proposition, trying to figure out whether this project has what it takes to make it to our portfolio. So you know what? Let's talk about the news, let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins looking for opportunity. And the question is RECC an opportunity? Real estate crypto crowdfunding. Definitely interesting, based on its name. It looks very, very interesting. Today, I'm happy to be doing a deep dive in a nice small project that has, some good vision. Of course, small projects always come up with those visions, and looking into the potential of this market. We're looking for interesting implementations, and I feel like this project has some very interesting approach that we need to take into consideration. Obviously, guys, I'm going to be doing this deep dive from a retail perspective. What I mean by this is that we want to ensure that the team has given us all the transparency, all the details, all the knowledge required to truly understand not only what real estate crypto crowdfunding is, but what RECC is as a token. Okay, that's so important. We want to know what we're getting into. What is this whole ecosystem about? What is the main value proposition? And definitely we're going to be using the website, the main website, to navigate the project, to make sure that we got all the little details. And let's begin. Let's see what we got going on here. First and foremost, okay, the website's nice and clean. Invest in real estate with your crypto and earn yields. And very broad, but at the same time not, because we're talking about real estate, we're talking about crypto. And as soon as you read those words, a couple of things should be popping out. We're talking about DeFi, we're talking about real world assets, and obviously we're talking about a narrative that hasn't really had its first mover advantage yet. Which project can you think of that's in the real estate game that really spearheaded this narrative and has taken the first mover advantage? I'll tell you this, there's none really that popped to my mind that really secured that spot. Now, of course, we're talking about RECC, which is, small and speculative still, but what about if it does take that first mover advantage? And that's what the premise, that's the whole idea when I look at these projects, because of course we got to understand new projects have lots of upside potential based on their ability to spearhead untapped, treasures that exist in different industries, right? So this is what I'm looking at here. Does RECC have that potential? Bridge the gap between traditional real estate and DeFi with the first decentralized platform for real-world assets crowdfunding. So without even reading that, I'm glad to say that even with this landing page, I can clearly understand within the first 10 seconds what this project is. And it's not even that it's complete clarity, but from a marketing perspective, that's what you want. You don't want, to diddle-daddle on the landing page to be left there dazed and confused. Very clear, straightforward, to the point. I appreciate it. Now that we come down, we can start to see some real estate. Okay, I'll admit, the pictures could be a little bit more enticing. I'll admit that. But this is what they got. Okay, they got some properties in Spain. They got, you can see that there's different floors, I think, that they got here for rent and so on. And you can see that the expected return, the expected yield, 17, 22%, 7.3%. These are the projects. You can view more details on them. For example, if you want to look at this one, let's open this one up in a new tab just to kind of see what they got going on. You can see this is the property. Now, this property, you might look at it as and saying, okay, but who wants to buy this? The reality is that you have to read the title. What does RECC stand for? It's crowdfunding, right? For what, right? To refurbish, and for many aspects, because of course, real estate is broad. Like I said in the beginning, it sounds very broad. So in this case, a developer might say, okay, I'm not developing a brand new, property, but I'm thinking that refurbishing this one and, restoring it to its glory is a business opportunity. And where an individual in the real estate industry might say, you know what, I need some capital to achieve these goals, right? Where can I get this funding? Well, RECC offers the solution. And I understand the value proposition is particularly in parts of Europe, where there is older properties that are still very valid, but bit by bit Europe has been struggling with many issues. Obviously, the world has been struggling with many issues, but it's not the point. The point is, from an older perspective, which Europe has a lot of old towns that need to be refurbished and opportunities there. This is it. This is potentially the opportunity. So you can see there's some details regarding the project. Investment term 5 months, so on and so forth. Property value and crowdfunding sale is in progress. Construction, so they're trying to refurbish this in progress, and this is what they are talking about. So this is in Spain. Cadiz, Spain, and you can see, you can get some more information, location, where it's located, and so on and so forth. They give you video. So yeah, the initial image is not the greatest looking, because of course this is a refurb project that requires capital, so the pictures are not going to be the nicest. But this is what we're here for, right? Is to find opportunity, buying low, selling high. And this is their whole idea here. So, and this is the layout plan. You got to admit, they provide the detail, which I appreciate, and so on and so forth. Okay, so just to give you an idea of what they're doing here. Okay, so back to the main page. Now that we go back here, you can see what they're trying to do here is crowdfund capital for individuals, for real estate investors that are looking to, flip properties, build properties, anything to do with real estate, in my opinion. This is what I feel like they're trying to spearhead, which is quite interesting. Now, what is it really? What are we talking about here? Lending and borrowing. This is a narrative that has been around for a long time, but a sub-narrative of real estate that hasn't yet been spearheaded. So for me, there's still an opportunity here for first mover advantage. This is the key. Okay, so again, quite interesting. Start investing with only $100. Guys, I just want to let you know, I've done projects within the real estate narrative before. I've done deep dives. I've done over 120 deep dives over the years. Videos all released, all under the channel. If you want to go check out the playlist. But what I'm trying to say here is I've never seen a real estate project so well put together. This is interesting. I'm telling you now, it's interesting. Again, very speculative, very small market cap. We have to put it within its weight class. This is very important for people to understand. We're not talking about a heavyweight. We're talking about a lightweight. But there are still champions in lightweight categories. Think boxing, think sports, right? And I'm thinking that if we consider this project within its weight class, it's very, very promising. Okay, so just understand the context, understand, the category that we're putting it into. Building the bridge between traditional real estate and DeFi to unlock billions of previously inaccessible investment opportunities for everyone. This is exactly what I'm seeing here by this website. The website right here looks a little bit off, but whatever. Why choose RECC? Okay, some interesting value proposition. Security, audited. It is audited. We'll talk about a lot of these things once I take a look at the documentation. We'll talk about documentation in a second, no worries. Liquid investment, trade your investments anytime on your secondary market. Okay, accessible for everyone. Start with $100, paying crypto, fiat, invest globally. Interesting. Okay, so no barriers to entry, none of that. How it works for investors, quite simple. Browse projects, which we have already done. We went to look at one. You can see that there's different APYs and return yields and so on. Invest instantly. This is definitely given to us, basically brought to us by the blockchain and all the capabilities behind the back end. By the way, it is a Solana project, which is a very strong network in this in the industry. Receive LP tokens as, let's say, as a countermeasure, as a counterpart. So you put in your stables, you get LP tokens and tokenized shares representing your stake in the project pool. And then you earn and withdraw. Claim your investment and yield once the operation finishes. So once the development of the property, whatever the project is all about, is completed, you get your rewards plus your investment, right? That's how it goes. Now, obviously, guys, and I love the fact that the team has taken the measure to make people understand that no yield is guaranteed in any industry, right? We're talking about a little bit of speculation, obviously, in industry, especially lending and borrowing. We have to understand that. A few projects come to my mind within the lending and borrowing narrative. that that struggle, obviously, because it's real. The struggle is real when you're talking about lending and borrowing, defaulting on loans and issues, and this and that. And I'm glad that the team has addressed these in the documentation. But the reality is healthy yields based on that risk you take. Guys, this is real life, right? More risk you take, the more yield. And you got to admit, real estate is one of the safer of the risky of the risk on the risk curve, right? So overall, I like what's going on here. At least a lot of clarity and all that good stuff. Trusted partners and tech. So I like to call these relationships. One may argue, okay, Radium is not a partner. Solana is not a partner. And it's an open blockchain. It's not a partner. One may argue that. And I'm one to argue, no, Jupiter is not a partner. It's a DEX aggregator that anybody that, is on Solana could be listed on, and so on and so forth. And a lot of these aggregators here that you see on the list, but at least they're there. Okay, so at least they're there on the aggregators. They're DEX screeners and things like that. They're there. So that's the best part. And there's some other things, that I see here that are awesome. But I call these relationships, whether they're partnerships. There are partnerships, which that I'm going to be discussing in a second. But a lot of these logos are relationships, and I keep that very, very broad. Okay, so take those for a grain of salt, dig deep, research, understand what a lot of these logos are about. But nonetheless, they're good because they're there, and those relationships are definitely there. Your questions answered. I like these. These are cool because literally, of course, we're going to have questions. And a lot of the times, especially when you're talking about retail, these are easy. What's the minimum investment? $100 or something like that. I think that was yeah, right there, $100, easy. How your yields are guaranteed? There is no guarantee. Projects developers can choose to guarantee yields as part of the proposal. All guarantee yields are backed by legal agreement and collateral. However, there's no guarantee for anything in life in general. But the yields are guaranteed in such a way if the project, does satisfy its objective, there is yield, and that's the way it's a legally backed agreement. Okay. When can I withdraw my investment? You can claim your investment yield after project completion. Timeline typically 6 to 24 months. We know that real estate sometimes timing is not the easiest. Anybody in the real estate game knows this. Timing is very difficult sometimes. There's always peaks and valleys in development and anything, in engineering and anything, right? It's always like that. So it is what it is. But again, you have your liquid tokens, your LP tokens to be able to trade those on the secondary market. If it doesn't meet the timeline, let's put it that way. Higher funds protected. All funds are held in audited smart contracts with multi-sig security. We also to maintain insurance coverage and allow strict KYC, know your customer procedures. Now, I know a lot of us here in this space don't like the concept of KYC because of privacy concerns. And the fact is that privacy is key. But if you are going to be playing not only in real world assets, but in assets that are, within the traditional financial realm, this is something that we're going to have to relinquish, is our privacy. Right? It's going to be very difficult, especially now and in this phase in this industry, to get involved in such projects that involve the real world, to remain anonymous. It's going to be very, very difficult because there's legal, regulatory implications, something to consider. So if this is not something that you're interested in KYC, it's going to be difficult for you to get involved. So this is a decision that you got to make. Is the platform regulated? We operate in compliance and local regulation to maintain proper licensing. All project developers undergo KYB, Know Your Business certification. So compliance right now and regulation is still very vague, especially here in this part of the industry. Okay, DeFi is getting a little bit of clarity. Okay, clarity. That's just a little bit. Now we're talking about how we're gonna integrate real estate and physical assets on and that type of thing. Guys, there's still a lot of uncertainty in the space. Okay, but to know that they're doing everything possible to stay within regulatory clarity that we have at the current moment within, real estate and real world assets. That's great. That's good. It's hard, guys. It's hard. You have to understand we're still in the wild, wild west here. Nothing is clear. Which cryptocurrency can I use? USDC, USDT, okay, on many chains, as you can see. What is a referral program? What is the VIP benefits? There is a VIP thing happening here, but I just don't see any real way to get involved in VIP. Large token holders and investors can get early access to exclusive benefits, let's put it that way. VIP status starts at 50,000 total investment. So I'm not sure if you have to directly contact the team to get involved or how it works, but I don't see any real sign up measure here anywhere with regard. I don't even know if it's actually active yet, if this is an actual active program or thing that's really being implemented at the current moment. Regardless, we know that this project is young. It's cooking. They're still cooking. In fact, they've released. There are in the works. I don't know if they've released it recently in the last couple of days, but they are working on something quite interesting, an ETF. Now, it's not an ETF that you think like the Bitcoin ETF and the Ethereum ETF. We're talking about their own ETF. And personally speaking, I don't like the language, but all good. We'll untangle that in a second. Okay, let's just keep on going. What else do we got here? That's the website, pretty much. Okay, so if we look at the projects, we kind of looked at one. I think that's enough. You can go dig through these and see what they got offering. Referrals, RECC, this is interesting. Let's go see what's there. And the RTETF is what I want to talk about. And then the frequently asked questions, you can go dig there if you like. Now, that's the property. And then this page, I found it to be interesting. You can see powered by Jupiter, so you can get access to it on Jupiter. Other than that, this is the smart contract. And other than that, I don't know where if it is listed on any centralized exchanges. I don't think so. If you went on CoinGecko, all I see is one what's it called? I'll go check right now with you guys here. The markets right here. All I see is this Meteora. That's all. So I'm not sure if it's anywhere else. I don't think so, but if it is, it would be nice for it to be listed on the website, right? But I don't think so. Jupyter's an aggregator, so all Solana-based projects, whether it be on Radium or anywhere else, would be aggregated right onto Jupiter. So Jupiter's safe if you're interested. This is the contract address, nice and clean and clear. Guys, don't be looking for other addresses, or be careful which one you add to your wallet or what you buy. Okay. Other than that, I don't see much happening here on this page. Let's keep on going. That's the frequently asked question. So this is the docs. Okay, so what I want to do is spend some time here. Let's go to the intro. I'm not going to spend too much time on the intro because the website did a pretty good job. You got to admit, it introduced the project fairly well. It gave us all of what we kind of wanted to know about the project in general, real estate, the friction to get involved. This is almost like being able to get into the investing aspect of real estate in a fractionalized way. Okay, so if you can't go fund the whole project yourself, right, you are able to get a part of a project, a real estate project, based on what you can afford, giving you access to the ability to invest in real estate development and real estate this and that. Okay, so quite interesting. And again, read this. You can see it kind of reiterates what we talked about already. Pretty good. How RECC works. This is pretty cool because it gives you a visual. You guys know I like the visuals. Crypto investors, crypto fund raise, RECC in the middle, fiat loan. It provides a loan to the developers. So RECC accumulates all the capital and provides it as a loan for real estate developers, and then they execute the operation, whatever they got in mind to do with the real estate. The real estate developer does what it got to do, and then the real estate developer pays back the loan plus the yield or the interest, and then RECC gives the fund and the yield back to the investor. It's simple. That's the best part. It's a lending and borrowing protocol specializing for real estate developers and real estate, individuals, businessmen. Let's put it, business individuals. Deposit stable coins, receive. We talked about this. I'm not going to yield redeem your investment and interest. Okay, we're not going to go through that. Do my best to kind of like stick with what's important here, or clear. We can resume money flow to this. Again, we already kind of, this is a little bit repetitious. We kind of went through this money flow already. Again, dig deeper if you need. The wealth program. Now, I'm not sure where this goes. Is this the VIP or is this a separate program? And this is a $20,000 allocation, so I don't think so. But you get different benefits for being part of the wealth program. That's interesting. Okay. I don't know where this was listed on the website. It doesn't need to be. Is it actually active? I'm not sure where we are with this. A little bit of ambiguity, but not a big deal. Okay, different programs, different ideas, different ways of, getting the investors involved and enticing them to find nice, let's say, groups or packages or programs to get involved. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know if this is active or not, but you can see that there's some good benefits. But you boost your APY by 2% by being part of this exclusive program. Free rebate, 50% discount on performance withdrawal fees. That's obviously good. Any little discounts, but again, you have to be able to put in $20,000 USDC ready to go to attract these benefits. Okay, it is what it is. And how LP tokens work. I'm not going to get into too much detail here, but a liquid token in this case, quick primer on real property shares tokens. New investors in RECC, basically, you get these LP tokens that can be traded on secondary markets, right? They represent your share in a project, and your allocation into a project, and then from there you can basically see that there's some details with regards to how the LP token works. Again, guys, dig deeper on this. The LP token is just a way to keep you liquid in the meantime while your tokens are locked up into a project, okay? And again, tradable on markets. This is the property that I think that we just looked at. The funding target is 120K, or is this another one? Regardless, this is one of the projects that they got going on, one of the properties. The Suarez de Salazar, they got something going on here, which is good. They give you everything you need, as you can see. Registry property, registrations, and addresses, and timing, everything that you need here for transparency, chain of title, and everything. So it's pretty good. At least that the bill of sale, selling documents. So that transparency should give you a little bit of clarity, at least there, which is good. And then now that things are getting interesting, because we're getting to the token. Okay, so because a lot of the times, when I do these deep dives, I do like focusing on what is the project itself, maybe from a tech stack, especially if it's an L1 or something. But if it's a project that is utilizing a network already, like in this case Solana, we have to spend time to figure out what it provides, like as a solution, as a software solution. And in this case, we also have to look into why does it need a token? What's the purpose? And this is because it's DeFi. It's quite clear. It is DeFi as a blanket statement, but at the same time, why do we need it? And then I quickly get to token utility. You guys know that the more utility a token or coin has, the more reason there is for an individual to want to hold it, right? And that's very important. For an L1, we look for ecosystem. For something like this, we look for utility. Like, what is the purpose? Now, I'm going to just do my best to kind of go through this, because some of it is a little bit fluffy. I like to call fluffy because, again, it's still in the works. It's a young project. They're cooking. I'm going to talk about what they've been cooking in a second, and the partnerships and agreements that they've had in the last little while. But, a lot of it still is a little bit, vague, but particularly with one thing. It's the DAO. Okay, so what bothers me, and again, I'm not trying to spread FUD here whatsoever, just honest, open and transparent, is that one of the token utilities listed here is a DAO and voting and governance in general, right? And this is not the case, right? There is no DAO yet, and there could be a DAO in the future. I'm not saying that there can't be, but we have to see if it's in their plans. Is it in the roadmap? And right now, there is no DAO, no voting. Now, what also comes to my mind is this, and now that we're on this topic of token info, this project was launched as a fair launch, which is, a good thing. It has its benefits. There's, and it does have its drawbacks. And this is something, again, I've been around in this space for a long time. I saw this industry grow from nothing. And I've seen different approaches. And the fair launch is an interesting one. It's a slow grind. It's a tough way to enter to start a project, but it's the best way. It's a slow grind, but it's the best way. It's not flashy. It's not gonna, be buzzing. It's not gonna have all those shiny, the marketing dollars are not gonna be flowing like crazy, because again, you don't have VCs. You don't have people pumping bags and then dumping bags. Here, you're relying on pure community-based driven um, funds, right? Raising capital through community incentive, and that is the most organic way to do it. But with that being said, when your token is distributed through fair launch, there's no real express urgency for voting. And I get it, because the token in itself is distributed in a very decentralized way already. So decentralizing authority in this case is all that's really left, which is what a DAO is. Decentralizing the organization as far as the authority of how the organization itself runs. So in this case, who calls the shots on what happens next on RECC? Like, who's the business mind behind it? It's not governance, right? It's not up to a democratic process to call some shots here and to vote and propose, and it's up to the founding team. And to be honest, I understand young projects. The reality is DAOs are not the best. They're slow moving. They take time to call shots, and I've seen their negativities, right? Sometimes even DAOs fall apart, guys. I've seen my fair share of DAOs falling apart. Not a healthy thing. So in this case, we have to understand that is there a real need at this current moment for a DAO based on fair launch implementation and based on its current state of its product lifecycle? I think it's very early, and a DAO may not even be necessary at this current moment. This is, again, my opinion. I think a DAO would be great. I think it would be much better to remove this right here from this from this list, and maybe put it on, maybe in the roadmap, which we're going to talk about in a second, but maybe just say in the works, or to be implemented, or whatever, work in progress. The DAO shouldn't be on especially at the top of the list. VIP unlocks, again, a little bit iffy about what's going on there with the VIP concept, because I know they offer that VIP, but I'm not sure if it's actually active or not. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real any juice there. I can't really, based on what the website gives me. I'm sure if I get a hold of the team, which I try to do, is they're very hard to get really get a quick answer. I understand they're working hard. I get it, but it is what it is, guys. I'm coming from the retail perspective. LP loan access, and okay, that's there. Insurance fund deposits, I'm trusting that that's there. That's necessary. Referral boosts, I'm assuming that's there. Project listing fees burned, that is gonna be, it should be there, because that's part of their value proposition, that fees that are incurred or accumulated will get burnt, which is a great way to basically countermeasure that supply, bring down the supply, increase the price, the supply and demand concept. Burning mechanisms are a great way of putting that pressure on price. Trading fee buybacks, okay, so buybacks with trading fees come in, they buy back, and they lock up, maybe even lock up for business purposes, or whatever the purpose is. Like, their fees, their trading fees, I don't know what they're going to be doing with the revenue, and that's another aspect of that I still really would love to know. And I asked the team the question, I didn't really get a response yet, is what is their plan to raise capital? This is one of the biggest issues with fair launch, is what is their plans to raise capital for marketing, for ecosystem growth, or any other listing on exchanges. That requires liquidity. How are they going to raise that capital, guys? I've seen it time again. A lot of fair launch projects struggle with this. They start doing bake sales and asking and fundraising from the community to try to raise capital to get listed on exchanges, and it's a tough grind. It definitely is. So I'm curious, what is their strategies, what they got going on there. So the fair launch aspect is a bonus. It's great, but it also has its it's issues, right? So there's no perfect way to do things, guys. You can get a bunch of VCs that pump this thing to the moon, but the next day it could dump all the way to the to hell. That's the way things work. Whereas this slow grind, in my opinion, guys, I'd rather take the slow grind and healthy and stable grind, and it does it well, and nobody's left bitter. And that's my opinion. Okay, so pretty good. At least we got some clarity here. Some I would like a little bit more. There's no doubt in my mind as the project, comes, develops its foundations, we're going to get a little bit more out of this. Now, the roadmap, guys, again, everything is clear. I think they're within between 4, 5, and 6 area, trying to solidify all of this. Multiple payment system integration and the ETFs. I know they're cooking that up right now. Like I've been out of the loop for the last 24 hours. So I don't know if they've actually released it, in the last 24 hours or so, but I know that they've been hammering to get this out. The ETF is quite interesting because, obviously there's a lot here. You could read that. But for me, I think this is their biggest thing. If you don't want to select a particular property, RECC will offer its own ETF. I would like to call this a mutual fund. It's a lot better of terminology, in my opinion. That allows users to delegate their funds and generate passive income with real-world assets on chain, which, in other words, instead of putting your capital into one property or one project, real estate project, basically you're putting your capital into a bunch of projects, and a lot of people are able to pool in their capital on this mutual fund, and ultimately a bunch of capital being put towards a bunch of projects, not a specific project, which is in terms of diversification. That is a type of diversification, and usually that's a lot safer in that case because of risk management. So I kind of like it. It's pretty cool, good offer. Instead of focusing on one project that is on this street, in this city, on this time, or this place, or whatever, you can basically focus on whatever RECC has going on as a group rather than as an individual project. Whatever projects are within this ETF or mutual fund, you're basically allocating your capital to all of them. And the success behind all of them. For me, that's quite interesting. That's a good one. And their marketplace, obviously subject to KYB, where an owner can just basically put their properties on there and raise capital very independently, and due diligence by RECC team. This kind of bothers me a little bit, guys. When I see this, when there's that seems centralized, very centralized. But I'm assuming that maybe this can be put through DAO or governance, and I would like to see, or kind of see what they got going on there, what their thought process is, because to rely on the team to make decisions becomes a very centralized scenario that I don't really like. But again, they're working on it. Let's see what they come up with. It's still in their roadmap. Things change. Engineering always changes. Let's see what they got going on there. The flywheel, quite interesting. The flywheel, how it works. So exactly how are the fees gonna permeate? The platform earns fees. We buy back the tokens. So the platform earns fees. Believe fees plus marketplace profits start to pile up. Fresh cash flow. Okay. They buy back tokens. A slice of those fees, market buys RECC on the open market. 50-50, so that creates continuous demand. Okay, obviously. 50-50 split. Half of the purchase of RECC is burned forever. Okay, deflationary? Yes. Reducing sell pressure? Obviously. And not only that, but obviously reducing circulating supply and overall total supply. Obviously increasing the potential price. That is important. Basics of economics. The other half goes into the airdrop pool. This I'm not sure. Okay, so rewarding token holders. Supply shrinks while rewards grow. Where does the team, not the team, let me correct myself. Where does RECC raise capital as a fair launch? What portion of this goes to RECC? Okay, even the team needs to eat. Where does the team eat? When does the team eat? This is something that's interesting to me. What portion of the RECC tokens based on rewards does the team get? And how does this work? How are they getting paid? A little bit of that clarity would be awesome. Every time the property closes, the platform earns, which is great. Part of those earnings immediately convert into RECC, removed from circulation and handed back to every people who keep the flywheel spinning as rewards. Very interesting. Of course, this is very centric around people that are holders get rewarded, and as a new project this is what they want. And obviously as a new project they don't want to be talking about themselves and how they're going to eat, but this should be part of the understanding that at one given point the team needs rewards, and so does RECC in itself as a business. It needs some grease. How's it going to run, right? And things like that. So more questions, of course. What are bricks? Bricks are chain points to track active inside RECC. Earn bricks, grow your capital, deposit USDT, and ideal, you'll collect roughly 1 brick for every USDT day you keep invested. This is interesting. So it's basically a reward program, right? Bricks is like a report. Add the 3 brick buckets together, and you get your total bricks. Single number of decides your rank. You basically the gamifying the airdrop. Okay, collect your bricks, and obviously the term bricks is quite appropriate given that it's real estate and so on. So pretty good. Okay, lots of clarity, I told you. But again, back to the roadmap for a second, guys. I would have loved to see this DAO, at least if it's not part of your token utility at the current moment. Is there a plan to have a DAO? And that would be, for me, very important to decentralize the authority. We decentralize in this space in many ways. Fair launch, token distribution, decentralized, check. Blockchain technology, tech stack, Solana. Okay, Solana, is it decentralized? I'm not going to get into that, guys. Obviously, as a blanket statement, Solana is not the most decentralized blockchain based on nodes. Okay, it is what it is. But Solana is one of the most successful. So let's keep that neutral for now. This is not about Solana. But at the same time, from another way to decentralize is governance or the organization in itself. So we'd love to see what their plan is, and if it is part of their plan. Right now, I don't see it on the roadmap. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. Let's keep on going. Their vision, okay, that's pretty cool. Their vision, it's quite clear what their vision is. To provide liquidity to people that want to, capitalize on real estate industry, guys. It's an industry that's not going anywhere. Okay, and obviously we will that. I'm curious to see if this could be extended to other business categories, not just real estate. Like let's say hypothetical, the restaurant business, the restaurant industry. You want to open up a restaurant? Could they provide the funding for that? I'm just thinking out loud. Like it doesn't just, their model is scalable to other type of industries, not just real estate. So I like that from that aspect. Their vision, in my opinion, right now is very focused, which of course they want to focus on their core competency and do it very well, and then maybe expand later. But right now, real world assets is so broad, guys. And I know projects that are encompassing all kinds of lending and borrowing across many industries, not just real estate, but they're focusing purely right now on real estate. Could they have a specialized advantage by specializing and becoming specialists in this industry? It gives them an edge. Usually that's the case, niche edge type of thing. Let's keep on going. Now the team. Okay, so the team is quite interesting, actually. The team, I was happy, like I was a little bit nostalgic when I saw one individual's here on the team. This dude right here, George. We'll talk about him in a second, a little bit more detail. But the reality is that the team is young. The team is young, and they're trying to establish themselves in the industry. Okay, a lot of us came around in this very similar moments, and I'm assuming that we came around into this space probably in a very similar time, given their age group. And in addition, we've seen this industry grow from nothing, which is obviously gives us a lot of potential to speculate and to think forward always. Because when you think where we came from nothing. And when something comes from nothing, the upside potential is who knows where, right? Keep on going forever. And that's what a young mind does. And I appreciate the hustle behind young minds, right? And I always say this: young talent, don't mess with young talent. They reshape industry, right? Yes, investors, the old guys, they got the money, but the young people bring the innovation. And I think that this is where we need to really focus. Okay, so they're building, obviously, but what's interesting to me is this. Okay, let me just put a pause. So we got Ali Waters, founder and CEO. Had the pleasure to speak with him just a little bit. He's a very busy guy, obviously. We're all very busy in this space right now, trying to keep afloat. Let's put it that way. But I was George came to my radar a while back when I was doing research on Solana and Solana development, and he had a bunch of videos on YouTube. And from as a developer myself, I was like, okay, he seems like a developer. Let me see what he's got to say. And I ended up watching a bunch of his videos, and I found them interesting. And then when I saw his face there, I'm like, is that the dude that I used to watch like years ago? And it is. So and then all of a sudden I click this thing, which is Smithy, and I'm like, there it is. I remember this whole project, guys. This has been around for a few years now, since 2023. This is in Spanish. He's Latin American, and I don't think he's European, but I'm not sure, what type of Latino he is. It's not the point, but that's why it's a lot of the communication that you're going to see regarding RECC is going to be in Spanish. It is what it is, okay, but nonetheless, I wish there was a way to quickly translate. Can I just right click and translate this? Translate to English. Why not? There we go. So since 2023, the company. So basically, it was a tool that allowed Solana projects to be deployed really easily, and that was his value proposition behind Smithy. It's fairly successful. I did fairly well. I remember it was quite popular. I was interested in what he was building, and then it caught my attention as, again, the support for young development. He was a few years back, so he's still young. But what I'm saying is, imagine, right? A lot of us came out in this space looking at creating something from nothing, and here we are. Something that was meant to be nothing all of a sudden is something, and here we have him still cranking out some stuff, which is, again, RECC here. Now he's one of the founders, and we got an advisor, and then we got some other partners. A1, I'm not sure what these dudes are all about, but market leader, I'm not sure. And then we have CEO and content creator and a designer and Solana backend developer. So I was able to look into a couple of these individuals to kind of like look into their backgrounds a little bit more. So this is the team. We'll take a look at their LinkedIn accounts later on in a sec. We'll take a look at what they got as far as talent. Talented team, young and talented. I love it. Legal framework. Smithy serves as a legal entity to convert the crypto funds. See, so there's a little bit of integration even with Smithy, which is, like I mentioned, George's project of the past and still present, obviously, and so on. So there's a legal framework behind it. Yield to Smithy Ltd. Audits. They're audited by a couple, if I'm not mistaken. For sure one here, Halborn, audited by Halborn, widely recognized Web3 security firm with deep Solana program review experience. So again, do your research, but they are here giving you that information necessary to see that their contracts have been audited. Okay. Referrals, a little bit of referrals. Nothing happening here. Coming soon. Partners. I think there's more than this, guys. There's more. This needs to be updated. There's more. And Radium, like I said, isn't really a partner. I would rather say call it a relationship, but this is a partner. We'll talk about the partners in a second. I got a few more, but we got Streamflow. Once a property reaches 100%, basically Streamflow is a Solana native protocol that lets projects stream, vest, and lock tokens. Okay, this is where you can lock up tokens, and right now the team has 100 million tokens locked. Okay, because we're going to talk about tokenomics in a second. Actually, you know what? Let's jump right into tokenomics while we're here. Let's not get ahead of ourselves for a second. So if you go to CoinGecko, you're going to notice that it's a billion max supply. Total supply shy of that. I'm sure it's due to burning of sorts. This is how it is. Circulating supply is minus 100 million. But that's because 100 million is locked. And if he goes right in here, you can see locked tokens by the team. So the team has locked 100 million tokens, and those are locked up and going to be emitted. How, I'm not too sure just yet. I'm assuming that it's going to be in 4 years or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So a little bit of documentation regarding that would be really good, especially on the Git book that I was just on. It would be nice to know a little bit about that, obviously, but that's the tokenomics. You can see it's fairly fair launch. No real risk of dilution at the current moment at all. So pretty good. Let's get back to where we were. Sorry for bouncing around, guys. Once I'm going through all of this, things start popping out of my mind. I apologize for all the yeah, just flying around everywhere. Layer 2 scaling. So obviously, as a Solana solution, that is not very necessary. But when you're talking about like it's SVM-based layer 2, Eclipse is an SVM-based layer 2 that brings Solana's high throughput execution to Ethereum's liquidity layer. So this allows, Ellipse allows them to basically attract liquidity from Ethereum. Guys, we know where the liquidity is all trapped up in. So most of it is in Ethereum-based projects, right? So that's good to see. Okay, so that's that. And then the RECC ETF. We talked about it a little bit. I would highly recommend that you read this. But again, it's an entry point for anyone who wants to invest in real estate with crypto without the hassle of vetting and handpicking properties to earn. It's just a basket of properties under one group, a mutual fund of sorts, and anybody that wants to participate can allocate capital to that fund. That's basically it. And as the fund succeeds, you get yield. Plain and simple. Okay, so again, read over this. It will give you a little bit more details and what you may need. Okay, one more thing as we continue going on and looking at some other aspects, the links at the bottom. Telegram, we'll talk about Telegram. I think that's an very important topic. Their Twitter, we'll look at their Twitter post. But they do have a Discord. Okay, but it's nowhere to be found. I can't find the link. It was given to me by one of the community members on Telegram, but it's not linked here. I would highly suggest that we get that link here. Discord, as you guys know, Discord is where it's at. Okay, it's much better place to build community, and their LinkedIn should be placed here as well, or somewhere on the website, so we can, people can get to know who they are. They are talented individuals, and you don't want to be missing out on some of their talents. Okay, so that's important as well. They got a blog. We're slowly transitioning into other things. You know what? Let's talk about the blog in a second. We'll be doing. Let's put it here. Let's take a look at this for a second. We'll take a look at Solana chain, and I just want to show you the holders. Okay, this is the 100 million tokens, the quantity that I told you that was locked up. Okay, and then you have the liquidity for Meteora. Okay, it's right here. The rest of it, if you look at it, and this is a whale, fine. And I wouldn't say this is a whale. It's just necessarily liquidity, in my opinion. Look at this Meteora Pool Authority. Other than that, you can see that the distribution is fairly fine. Like there's no real major whale action. And remember, this is locked, right? Again, we have to look at the contract. You can go and vet it and see what it's locked and how it's locked and what are the terms. I would like to know more about that as well, but it is what it is. It's supposed to be locked. Okay, so take it as it is. What else do we got here? Let's see. Home. This is the socials. We'll put this here. Let's take a look at that. This might the blog. I like the fact that they have a blog, to be honest. And lately I've been really adamant with the fact that education is key. Educating individuals about not only your project, but more importantly what the industry is doing to support your narrative or support your value proposition. So what is tokenized real estate investment? Right? Educating. That's brilliant. That's smart. That's what you should be doing. And then saying, but RECC is the solution, or RECC is what you're looking for, right? It's very important because education will create, true understanding of what a software solution can do for you or do for the industry. DeFi lending and borrowing platforms. Perfect. This is the first time, and I could be wrong, that the words lending and borrowing has literally popped out in my face as I was scraping through the website here. So, okay, fine. It is what it is. It is truly by default a lending and borrowing platform. And good to see. What is it? Learn about it. See what value propositions they have. DeFi, lending and borrowing, more of it. We're getting more. How to earn yields from it. This is it. Top 5 real-world asset projects on Solana. Get going. Go read, right? This is it. Now, you can see that there is no dates, but if you click this one, let's see what it does. You can see that it was October 6th posted by admin. This is it. We got nicely organized, good infographics. They're putting in the work. So I like that. This could be, blogs are not that interesting, I know, but this is what might set them apart because it does help with SEO. It does help with, again, education. It helps with being able to tweet, post on X about such things and educate, and obviously, preach those fundamentals. That's basically what it is. Okay, so that's that. Speaking of X, they got a X account here that's pretty small. It is what it is. The project is small, so what are we going to expect, right? I'm already following them, so let's give them another follow just in case. Following, we have about 5.5K followers. Sorry, guys, for that cough. 5.5K followers. They're doing pretty good, growing slowly. Pin comment. What is it? We are happy to announce the first partner project listing with the RECC ETF for development. Okay, so they're going with it. They got powered by well-known builder. Okay, will be the title sponsor and the kicks off their U.S. expansion. Vine Reserve Club launches in San Diego, the world's first Sol. Keep on reading, guys. You can see they're trying to do something here. Okay, like I don't know. It looks interesting. It is what it is. The market just reminded everyone what loyalty feels like. Instead of chasing swings, focus on passive, sustainable yields from real estate on chain. Amazing. What good timing, of course. Guys, if you're watching this as of October 11th, October 12th, you know the context. Of course, at this moment, yes, passive yields are very enticing. What a great post. I appreciate that one. Sign up for the chance to enter WL here, okay, and so on. We got some other treasury partners. This is the partnership that I was looking for. We're excited to announce. I think I got this other places. Hold on, I got this other place. I got some other stuff. This is that. Hold on, guys. Hold on. I just want to make sure. Okay, so we got RECC Finance. We got this. Yes. So we're excited to announce the RECC is partnering with Collateralize to launch the Collateral Coin, a utility token designed to represent access to 50,000 private sale allocation in their upcoming real estate ETF. So, okay. Now, apparently, there's some history here, that fuddish history, that's nonsense. I'm not going to get into it. Who cares? But this proves that FUD is garbage, right? Ultimately, there was no FUD, no issue, and here we are. They're actually, instead of having an issue, they're actually partnering. So it's like the contrary. In fact, guys, I'm not going to get into it because honestly, I don't even know too much about it. But the positive is here. The positive that these two are now working together as a partner announcement, providing these details. One executive private sale allocation worth $50,000, 5% entry discount, and so on and so forth. Go check it out. These are the not only promotional opportunities, but the partnerships, arrangements, relationships that allow these small projects to flourish. Okay, so go check those out. Rain is excited to partner with RECC Finance, another partnership that is very important because RECC is tokenized real estate platform to build on Solana. Rain provides liquidity solutions for assets launched on the RECC platform and its ETF, helping build more liquid RWA ecosystem. So this is the way they're able to create their pools using this partnership with RainFi. Okay, so again, very important one. And there's more. We'll get to a couple more here and there. I got some more. I'm going to do the summary at the end, guys. Don't forget, I got that infographic that I released with all my deep dives. I'm going to be posting that all throughout the socials. And in addition, I have timestamps below if you want to kind of get to the summary quick. But just bear with me. We're almost done here. We're going to go through the team and a few other little things, and we'll get into there. Transparency tweets. You can go and get all kinds of transparency here. We made a dev by 10%, and it was locked to believe team for 4 years. Okay, so it is what it is. Transparency tweet. I like that. Remember that first big bag that I saw, the 100,000 units? Well, sorry, 100 million? Well, this is it. Transparency, it's all here. Okay, so I would have loved to see true transparency for me is put it on official documentation, Gitbook style would be the best. I'm just telling you. Exposts don't cut it for me. They're hard to find. Retail is not going to be digging through posts and tweets and searching and all this and digging through haystacks. Put it on the Gitbook. It makes things so much easier. I'm telling you. Let's move on. So I was able to finally find that they do have a LinkedIn account. You guys know I like the LinkedIn. It does give us a lot of transparency. We do have some of the team members, 5 members, guys, small team, but doesn't mean that they're weak. Don't judge them by their size, right? Because again, weight classes matter. You can be a featherweight, but still the champion and holding all kinds of records and all kinds of medals and awards, right? So it's within its range. You know, it is what it is. A small team. We have George, the dude that I spoke about. We have Juan David, which is the software engineer, CEO of RECC, Alejandro, Ale, I think he goes by Ale, and Sir Cisco, favorite community manager. I'm not sure about this. We'll talk about community management in a second. And Felipe, and I think digital, specializing in marketing, digital marketing. Cool. Let's take a look at more about these guys. So this is the CEO of RECC. I had the opportunity to speak very briefly with him with a few little lines, you know, trying to get me to understand some of these things. But, you know, if we start looking, a lot of these guys are going to be tied to Smithy, which is this project right here that we talked about, okay, from a while back. And again, this is a nostalgia for me for a few years back when I was looking into, you know, what developers are cooking in the back end. So this is it. Head of marketing, search engine optimization specialist, CMO, and head of marketing. This is what he does. Co-editor in chief of digital, self-employed. I'm not sure if that's he who owns it. I'm assuming it is. SEO specialist. It looks like he's SEO. It looks like he's a techie, but a lot of his experience comes from SEO. It looks like. Okay, it is what it is. His background is that. Juan David, he's an engineer, it seems. Software engineer specialist in blockchain systems, backend infrastructure. Okay, great. I don't see much other than that. So he has AWS, Python programming language, Linux database, okay, and so on. Here it is. Experience again. Smithy engineer, right? Software engineer, Smith, and he's a freelance software developer on Fiverr, and he was an intern somewhere in Colombia at Sun Autos, maintenance engineering, collecting, analyzing, reporting equipment data, and so on. So he does have some engineering experience, and obviously, I think the majority of the leap came right from Smithy, okay, as his launchpad type of scenario. So you're going to notice that a lot of them come from that. And then last but not least, George, I think he's the guy who definitely started up this Smithy concept. That's where I was introduced to his name on YouTube, is he was talking about Smithy and Solana and this and that. He was developing Smithy at the time and so on. So it is you can see that he does have the background in Solana, and he's very vocal and active within the Solana circle. This is what keeps me interested, is because he is a very active individual, young individual, an active individual. So for me, like I said, don't judge youth, don't judge, that type of stuff. Youth change the world a lot of the time. So Bianca Group, self-employed. I'm not sure what that is too much, but real estate, you got this, and then he's the founder and CEO of this automated crypto investments for smarter growth. So look, there's a lot happening here. You can see that this is like these guys are at the door, opening the door to the rest of their careers where they can make major moves. Like this is the October 7th and 9th. This just happened in Madrid. He was there, CEO of Linz, but also, very highly involved in RECC. He is one of the RECC team members there, and he's speaking here, and he spoke there, and it is what it is. And you'll see that he's very intertwined with the Solana ecosystem because of that. Okay, so good stuff overall. Like I said, judge it as it is. Okay, now that we've done that, let's do the summary. No, actually, before we do that, okay, guys, this is what's interesting to me. The interesting to me is their socials, okay? Actually, you know what? Let's jump right into the summary. Let's do that. As you guys know, I release these infographics for you guys so that we can, get a little bit of an easier time to understand some of these. Some of these videos, they run up above an hour. And because they take time, guys, I take days to research, and then I compact everything that I find within an hour. I think it's a good trade-off. So let's look at its ecosystem for a second. Ecosystem, based on what it is, I can't see any more what they should be including without making it more complex and more overly diversified. In my opinion, at this current moment, what they got spearheading is the lending and borrowing marketplace for real estate, okay, which is there and established. And the ETF mutual fund is quite interesting as well. Other than that, I don't see any other. What else do they need? I don't see anything else they should include. If they're going to diversify and scale into other industries, yes, their ecosystem will grow, but is it necessary right now? In fact, would it be a negative? I think it may. I think what they should do is focus on real estate and just spearhead that and do it well and do it the best. And I think that's what they're going for, in my opinion. Okay, so utility, 9 out of 10. LP loan access, yield lending, yield borrowing, lending and borrowing, rewards, referral boosts, insurance fund deposit. We talked about all these project listing fees being burned, trading fees and buybacks. They got a lot happening there, even community benefits like meetups and so on. Again, the only reason why I say 9 out of 10 is because of the DAO. And the DAO is also not listed on the roadmap, unfortunately. And because it's there on the white papers, we have to technically, expect it. And because it's not there, it throws everything off balance. So we're going to have to just kind of like understand where we are right now with that. Roadmap is clear and well documented. Milestones met. However, timelines would provide some clarity. Like, I'm not saying to the day, to the minute, none. Quarterly, at least. By the end of this quarter, we want to achieve this. Now, I understand engineering is a mess. You don't meet the deadline, price fluctuates like crazy. And that's what they're probably saying. Forget time, it will be done, we'll release it when it's done. And I truly understand. But if you can, and if you feel like it's beneficial, at least a quarterly timeline would be amazing. Just throwing it out there. Current focus is payment system and the ETF. And that's clear. I think the ETF is literally happening any day now, any second now, because that's that. The team is doxed. At one point, I couldn't find their LinkedIn, so you're going to have to kind of dig for that one. Team is young and small, as you can see. Dedication and talent is clearly there. There's no doubt about it, okay? The problem is again, we're going to judge. Most will judge based on its market cap. And I'll be honest, some people will judge based on its narrative. And I was very hesitant by putting this into the mix because ultimately, we are waiting for the first mover advantage in this real world asset real estate narrative. Guys, I've done deep dives on these projects before, and I've seen them happen, and they all fizzle away. We're just waiting. Could RECC be the one that spearheads this narrative first? And if it does, guys, it's interesting. It's an opportunity. And again, this is not a sponsored video, guys, whatsoever. And I'll prove to you in a second why, okay, and how it's not. Socials. Now for the fun part. This deep dive would have been absolutely spectacular if it wasn't for my social experience with the community. And I'm going to have to say it, and I'm going to have to make it very clear and show you what I mean. First of all, I'll give it 2 out of 10, 2 out of 10. Not because of its ex-followers, it's young, it's expected. Discord is not advertised, unfortunate, but it's true. Blog taking an educational approach, amazing. I appreciate that, but blogs don't really do that much nowadays. But still, great. I like it. The Telegram is a problem, a big problem. And if you hang on a second, I'll show you why. Okay, so just understand the Telegram right now, for me, it could actually make or break this project. And because of my experience and what I've seen toxic communities do to great small projects. Okay, let me move on for a second. Tokenomics, fair launch. It is what it is. Fair launch. If you know what, by definition, if you watch the full video, you'll know what I mean by fair launch and how it applies and the benefits and the drawbacks. I personally like them. I like fair launches, but I have to commit to the grind, and you have to commit to the grind, but sustainable. And that for me is great. If you're a trader, you might like VC price pump action, but you better be in and out or else they'll dump on your head. Fair launch has less of that, so I appreciate it. 100 million locked by the team. It's for a 4-year lock. I would like to know a little bit more about that, full transparency, in more detail as far as what is the vesting schedule after the unlock? Is it going to completely be sold off onto the market? Is it on a locked contract with a vesting schedule so that it can be emitted slowly? I want to know more about this. Okay, almost fully diluted. Obviously, fair launch. That's expected, but because of this 100 million now, it is fully diluted because of that lock. As soon as it gets unlocked, what happens? Like what happens with those 100 million tokens? Quite a bit. It's 10%. right? So you got to understand because of that. And without the DAO, maybe the DAO would be the one to dictate how it gets distributed. I don't know. But without a DAO, it's like we're relying on who to justify how it gets released. Again, a little bit of a shakeup there for me, but still very positive. Guys, don't take my negative as complete negativity. Just understand that there is always something to talk about. Relationships, there's nothing better than what they got going on, in my opinion. They got a lot happening, right? The stream flow that I talked about, the clips for layer 2 scaling, the collateralized for launchpad infrastructure, and RainFi for liquid pooling solutions. There's nothing else there. For their size, they got everything going good. So 10 out of 10, good stuff. And exchanges, yeah, you might think of this as a negative, but it's not, okay? Because it's 1 out of 10, that's an opportunity. Think about it. But again, we got to talk about the fair launch. My experience has shown me that fair launch projects have a hard time getting listed, okay, because of the fees and the liquidity necessary. Okay, so let's put that into context now. If RECC does well and it gets listed on exchanges, you bet that people will be trading based on exchange listing. And because there is no exchange listings, there's only upside potential for that type of volume. It's volume based. The more volume, the more exchanges it gets listed on, the more volume you're going to attract. And from based on that, the more marketing and the more exposure and the more liquidity pools that you will have on different centralized exchanges. And therefore, price goes up. This is how it goes. Okay, so, and remember, liquidity getting locked up on exchanges is great too, right? So this is, looking at the glass half pretty much empty or pretty much full. Like, how do you want to take this? I look at this as upside potential, even though liquidity is low. This is a problem, obviously. Don't expect tons of liquidity. If you will go and expect to be able to sell your tokens really quickly, it's going to be very difficult, guys. But this is the nature of the game. This is something that, experience will tell you, is that when there's not a lot of liquidity, it's very hard for you to find, to be able to sell allocations at a given price, right, without moving the market. And this is the way it goes. So there's benefits and drawbacks and everything. I look at this at the current phase in the cycle, given that you're still bullish, okay, as an opportunity for exchange listings and potential volume that could occur because of that. Okay, so that's that. So tokenomics, as I mentioned, we actually, based on its size, it got some decent volume in the last little while, 5% of its market cap. I like around 5 to 10%, so it's right into the threshold. And this was taken from CoinGecko. CoinGecko sometimes is not the best, but this is all I really got at the current moment. Supply, as I told you, this is all of what it is, okay, as of October 12th. As of today. Let's talk about some of the details here, my verdict, okay, just in general. And then we'll talk about price action in a second, because I know a lot of us want to know about price action. Okay, let's just kind of reposition this a little bit better for our views. Okay, so DeFi lending and borrowing a real-world asset in Solana. Decentralized wallet distribution, I like it. Remember the 100 million locked. DAO voting is not active and not on roadmap, but because of the fair launch, organizational decentralization is less important. Is this valid? Kind of. I believe that eventually it should be part of their objective, and I think that it will, okay, eventually. No instruction on how to buy, only on CoinGecko. I think that's a little bit of a flaw. There is a link there on their page that takes you to, what's it called? It takes you to Jupiter, which is good. And I may have undervalued that too much, a little bit, but a little bit more of an instruction might be good. I've seen a little bit more in other projects that gave that step-by-step for retail. It does help. Trust me. Okay, now let's talk about the Telegram community, okay? And, guys, it was a very difficult decision for me to bring this up, but I have no choice, because there's no way that an individual, forget myself, who cares, right? I'm just another random guy on the internet. But a retail investor that's interested and that likes what they hear and maybe see on X and decides, you know what, I'm going to go ask some questions on the community forums on Telegram. And if you go and ask questions that might be a little bit, let's say, pressing because you want to know things, if you get reamed out, guys, that's not a good look. 9 out of 10 projects that have toxic communities fail. I've seen it. Okay, and that's a big problem. Let me explain to you exactly what I'm talking about. So I went on their Telegram to ask them questions, and this is the type of response that I get, telling me to go, F you, and all this kind of stuff. And just because I'm answering questions, and I was very polite, I would assume that the conversation is still there on their Telegram. I would highly recommend you can go check it out, how respectful I was trying to be, and very clear and transparent as to what my intentions were, and so on. And this is the type of communication I was getting. Okay, your community voted that I be here. That is the truth. They invited me to do deep dives, and I wanted to go and mingle with the community and ask them questions, and see their perspectives and see what kind of individuals I'm dealing with. And I would say that a good portion of them were decent, but the few that were in there were very toxic. Okay, as you can read, to the point that I decided to say to really exaggerate this by responding with kindness, and all I got was more negativity. This toxic behavior, I have seen it many times, and you guys know, for those of you that have been watching my channel for the last little while, I have my fair share of abuse when asking questions. However, most projects regret it, and that's the problem. The problem is, it's not because of me, because I have some sort of influence. They regret it because they realize that a community will dictate their culture and take them down where silently, from within. And that is a big problem, because nobody on that Telegram was there to moderate or correct this behavior. The culture cannot be toxic at this stage where you have no foundation to jump off of. There's no platform. You can't be. No project should be this toxic. A person basically asking questions and blaming them or making them feel like they're doing a wrong thing. I asked them, would you like me to leave? And this is the responses that I get. Some of them not. Some of them were very, telling them to cool off and so on and so forth. But that's not enough, because they kept on going. So what should have been done here? Take out the trash. Who cares about the followers? Nobody cares about the followers, it's the quality. It's quality versus quantity. Take out the trash, because ultimately they will drag you down, and the culture that you're going to be known for is the negative culture, not all the positivity that you're grinding for and you're trying to build. That honestly, it gets lost in the trash. People focus on negativity. Get rid of them. The little capital that they're bringing to you, the little social engagement that you're giving the team and the project right now, is not worth the negativity that they are bringing for long-term mind share. Okay, the mind share that you are currently, with these individuals in your group, are bringing to the table is absolutely garbage. Get rid of them. Okay, so I can't stress this anymore. I've done my fair share of deep dives in community building and going into communities and saying hello, and I've never felt such negativity and hostility towards answering questions to a retail perspective in my career. Very, very disappointing. And the team, all they did was, or whoever it was, I'm going to correct myself, whoever it was that was there, was excusing the behavior instead of banning them and sending them out to the curb. Get rid of them. They're trash. Get rid of them. Okay, so that's my opinion, and of course I'm entitled to my opinion, and so are you guys. Let me know what you think. Do we take out the trash from this space, or do we continue babysitting, the tards of this communities, and bringing down the hard work that we've worked for years, just because of a couple of people that can't handle and get educated. The Telegram community will be the biggest challenge if not corrected. I stand by that because I have experience and I've seen it. Okay, so think about it. Small projects taking on untappable sub-narratives. There are regulatory risks, obviously, and challenges, obviously, and inherent risk associated to lending and borrowing, still, especially with the real-world asset narrative. But as a softer solution, RECC can have major upside potential if it can spearhead and obtain its first mover advantage. While I was doing the research, I did kind of make some comparisons to other projects. other projects such as Goldfinch, lending and borrowing protocol, very business related, of course, providing liquidity for other um, businesses that are not just real estate, for any business for that matter. And for me, that was quite interesting to see that correlation in that spearhead. Now, a little bit different, I'll be honest, it's a bit different, but it reminded me of that as best as I could. Now, based on its market cap, and again, I'm struggling on putting projections on my deep dives because people don't understand what projections really are. These are all just based on market cap. I really am contemplating removing this because most people think this is where I think it's going to go, without doubt, and I'm all in. This is not the case. What I'm saying here is this. Hear me out. If RECC catches up to Goldfinch at its current price, RECC could do a 20x. Okay? Now we have to understand, if the market cap of crypto, in total market cap, hits $6-10 trillion, who knows, right? Goldfinch will also move up, but believe you me, RECC will also attract capital alongside other projects within the narrative. And it might even exceed 20x. We don't know. But I'm just saying right now, if we were to use, let's say, a very similar project based on its, competitive approach, I would say that a 20x is very possible here from an upside potential. Now, of course, guys, if the market crashes and burns, we're all going to zero. Okay, everybody's going to zero. I'm not here to say that I have a crystal ball and I can tell you the future. But I'm saying if the trajectory of the market is to be as a bull run should, RECC has potential here, okay, because of its first mover advantage spearheading that specific niche narrative in real world assets, which is real estate at the current moment. So I would love to give it higher rating because of its social engagement and experience that I had there. In fact, I should have given it less because of that, because that was absolutely garbage experience and actually ruined my day. But 8 out of 10 it is, okay? 8 out of 10 for now. We'll see where we go with this. I was actually quite happy to do the deep dive. Given the size, given everything, guys, I was actually quite impressed with what they got built and what they've had there, based on its weight class. It's quite interesting, to the point that, you know what? I wouldn't mind an allocation myself. Okay, guys, so I'll keep you posted. Let's move on, guys. I know you're here to talk about price action as well. So let's see what we got going on here with the RECC chart. Here, I'm using Dex Screener because that's the only place to get it, but it's been doing pretty good within the range. Despite all the volatility in the last 48 hours or so, we've seen that RECC has been doing pretty good, holding the range, and the range is what I like to see. As long as we're ranging and not making lower lows, guys, what else do we expect? Let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail. Now, I'm going to just be very clear with you. Range is range, right? As long as we respect the range, why are we worried? Okay, so let's just quickly, this is not my traditional trading software. Obviously, I use TradingView all the time. It's not listed on TradingView. I couldn't find it on TradingView, so we're going to use this. Now, I do see a few areas of interest that are a bit concerning, but not concerning in a negative way. It's just like these are opportunities. You guys know what I do. I'm going to do my best to kind of find what I need here, the tools. I'm not looking for any emojis. Okay, you know what? Let's just get rid of this. Let's delete that for a second, guys. Wow, the struggle is real today with this one. Okay, so that's that. I think it would be here. Okay, rectangle box. So you see this imbalance that I see here? This bothers me. Okay, there's a little bit of imbalance. Liquidity gaps, empty volume gaps here. These volume gaps are weak spots. Weak spots where price can definitely take full advantage of. However, as you can see, despite the negativity in the last 48 hours, the price barely flinched reality within market structure. The daily time frame, no lower low. It did not even hunt liquidity at these bottoms. To be honest, the majority of the magnet liquidity is right into here, where we could see the major retracement where max pain begins. Max pain begins right at this order block. If the price would come down there, that's max pain. But we're not even there yet, guys. We're not even there. In fact, I would say that RECC actually did pretty good over this debacle that we've had in the last 48 hours, right? You got to admit, right? It's not pretty. It is pretty good. Now, one may argue, oh, it's because of its market cap. It's so small that it's not even listed on exchanges. There's no futures. I get it. It's all valid. It's all valid. However, guys, we have to understand that a lot of what we look for is market structure. And as long as it's making a higher low here, and we did not make a higher high, the potential for this higher low to convert into a higher high by breaking the BOS, the break of structure above 0.003 is quite still possible. Nice V recovery. Sorry guys, I'll do this a little bit better. Nice V recovery and a fat rounded bottom right here would be so amazing. You know, translate this into a nice rounded passive accumulation range where we see volume and we see market participation eventually reaching these tops once again, and we start looking at this as an Adam and Eve structure. Now, we've seen a lot of people coming out today and in the last little while saying, oh, bull market's over and this and this and that, and you know, Bitcoin hit its top and we're ready to dump. Guys, take it day by day. It's the weekend, and the price action over the weekend is not easy to navigate. So let's see what we go. Let's collect a little bit more data before we get absolutely bearish. As of yet, look at this bounce on RECC. Look at the bounce on the majority of the market. Today we are green. We have lots of green price action today. So we cannot be negative until proven otherwise. RECC held up. Now what do we expect? To be honest, honestly, I expect a breakout. I expect a break out of 0.0035 from a market structure perspective. The reason being is because literally we got an overbought here. We've come down to the chop zone. We've held right here. We've got our bounce. If we go overbought again, guys, we're going to break out. Okay, and if Bitcoin and the rest of the space recuperates from the debacle that happened, the black swan event, orange swan event, whatever event you want to call it, from the week since Friday, and we recover in this space, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to see a nice recovery here on RECC. However, because of it being on a slight inflection right here in the chop zone at 50%, what about if the price gets oversold? This is why I put the purple box here, is because if we get oversold, we're hunting liquidity. And the liquidity usually gets hunted on the trend line. If you're a trader, you understand what I mean. You're looking for trend line liquidity. Now, the trend line is not very clear. The trend line, let me just make this yellow. You can see that the trend line is not even that clear. What's the trend line? This bottom, this bottom, this bottom. We could come down here and hunt this liquidity, and then come down to the order block where max pain is. Do I think that's going to happen? Not until proven otherwise. Wait for Monday, Tuesday, guys. RECC is pumping right now. It's recuperating from all the mess. So what do we got to do? And a lot of the space is doing it. It's not just RECC. So we got to use the market data as an aggregate, not as an individual, as an individual event that was a systematic failure across centralized exchanges and oracles. That's not how we judge markets. We judge markets on true market sentiment. Market sentiment is not a light switch. It doesn't flicker that quickly because of one black swan event. All of a sudden, we're done and it's over. Bear market. Guys, don't flip-flop. Right now, I'm saying this. Speculation is still speculation. They're in different weight classes. RECC is in a small weight class. However, RECC at the current moment is reclaiming its price action like any other would. And at this rate, I wouldn't be surprised if we broke above this top. I wouldn't be surprised. Now, again, we got to take this all with a grain of salt. Let me remove some of this artwork so that we can see a little bit of clarity still here on this chart as best as I can. So again, I honestly see good potential here for the breakout and continuation to the upside. I have a feeling that, you know, a lot of the breakouts of the space in general was interrupted by Friday's event. If we decide to make a lower low after a consolidation here, let the consolidation build. Let the market structure even get onto the 4-hour. Let's see what kind of market structure we build right into here. If we start to see rounded tops with confirmation lows and lower lows with Class A bearish divergences, we'll look for more lower levels. But at the current moment, guys, the trend is your friend. There's no doubt in my mind that this was a temporary setback for a retracement. We potentially hit a bottom. And if you're looking for a confirmation low, a higher low on a pullback, you might be able to get into a perfect market structure, change of character on the market structure, where we can eventually start looking at this as a complex rounded bottom and eventually break the neckline and move to the upside. Any price action in here, as long as it's in a dip and it doesn't break below even this wick and this level right here, we're still okay. Because if not, we might come down and hunt this trendline liquidity, as I mentioned. Guys, if I've offered you any value in this video, do the channel a massive favor. Slap the like button. It does really help out with the algorithm. If you want to follow me on the socials, the links are in the description. Better yet, guys, join the Discord. The Discord is where it's at. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and learning material. The best part is it's absolutely free. Take care, guys. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.